It isn't always Shakespeare, but it's genuine. It's a life.
I'm not gonna make it. You're gonna have to go on without me.
If you thought shit was weird before, buckle up, kiddo. It's only getting started. You thought what was going on in the deep state was wacky. You thought you couldn't keep up with what the Pentagon was doing, where that spending was going. Well, wait till it's private sector, because everybody's getting fired at the CIA. Have you seen this?
Not at the CIA.
At the CIA, Trump's laying off like a ton of people. That's what they're talking about doing. Dude, holy shit. Let's take a step back. As much as, like, I think maybe they get into stuff they shouldn't do, firing them is maybe not the right move, right? It's going to be like 8,000 episodes of Burn Notice going on simultaneously. I'm glad you saw that piece of shit show. It was good for the first couple seasons, but you do know what I'm talking about,
I watched
right?
literally one episode.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's, I mean, you got all these CIA agents running around and they're used to, like, trafficking weapons and, like, dosing homeless people with psychedelic drugs and convincing them to commit crimes. You know, that's what they do on your tax dollar. Who's paying for that now? Who's funding that? Or the people that have been doing that, what do they get into? You know, that's their skill set. That's what they know how to do. Learn to code? My ass, dude. We already got the Mexicans on that. There's no way. The CIA, look, what are they? Truckers now? That's going to be obsolete pretty soon. It's going automated. You know, they have a specific set of skills, and you have their daughter. No, I know. But that's what they know. That's their entire resume is intelligence. They've been doing that their entire lives. It's not like, you know, oh, I worked at the agency and then I managed a car wash and then, you know, when the wife was pregnant, I was like a part-time cashier at Target, you know. That's not, they're full-time, like, spooks, you know. That's
Whoa.
Hang on. Look it up. That's what you call a CIA agent. Hang on. It's what you call a CIA agent.
Is it? I'm just,
Yes,
I'll
that's
take your
what
word
they're
for
called.
it.
Look it up. That may come up first, actually. Just look up the word. God, I hope it comes up first. Common usage.
Okay, yes. Insider intent to show their insiders. John Brennan, nominated by Barack Obama to run the CIA. Many of the early articles about the nomination and older ones about Mr. Brennan's career refer to him as a spook. This, of course, is jargon for spy.
Okay, exactly.
Let's just call them spies.
Okay, well, whatever. You know, I was trying to keep up with the nomenclature, you know? I try to do my best. But now they're going private sector. Now you got to subscribe to MK Ultra Plus if you want to keep fucking... If you want to keep these hippies, you know, on a rampage, starting up race wars that don't need to be started, you know, and that wasn't even, you know, they just manufactured that and made him crazy in prison. That's what they, you know, they can just do that when they had access to the prisons. Now CIA agents, they may be your teacher, you know? Who else do they have left to arms and drug traffic to but the youth? You know, it's not like they can expand into other countries the way they could with the budget of the United States government. They got to go grassroots. They got to go local.
They're doing like startups.
Yeah, it's
like,
grass-fed, you know, intelligence is what they're doing. And it's they still have their list of assets. Because that's what it is they have contacts and they disappear for a little while. And it's like, if you have a friend who goes ghost on you, consider the fact that they may be a federal informant. Lure them over to your house, Put one right between their eyes. You ever watch The Departed?
I only saw one episode.
It's not a TV show.
I know,
Okay,
I know.
you fucking idiot. Dibs. I don't know. I mean, they have all they still have the intelligence, right? They still have all that information. They're still walking around with the ability to manipulate people with, contacts in, Nicaragua. They have ways to do things. They have access to Diddy. They have Diddy. If you aren't aware, Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad op. That's the reason he was killed, is because intelligence agents, they follow the Hannibal protocol over there in Israel. That's where they don't do hostages. If it looks like you might get taken, they'll just kill you indiscriminately and then blame it on the other people. That's what they did on October 7th. All that news is coming out. There's like a man,
Flag.
not a false flag, but like when the Palestinians attack, they get to shooting off, but really they're just, a poorly trained fucking group of ragtag, it's a bunch of high school friends is what that is. That they're not organized for real. They somehow figured out how to operate parachutes, and they parasailed into a rave. What a fucking concept, right? But your
Probably thought it was a part of the show.
yeah, right?
They're
I
just
mean,
like,
you're
"Holy shit,
fucking
this is
rolling on
dope."
Molly. Somebody's
Yeah.
doing a glove show. And then it's like, whoa, what is that behind you? Hoy vey, what is that behind you? Behind you. And it's a fucking just mowing them down, which is bad, Are they supposed to be there? Raven? I don't know. I take the stance, probably not, but they were doing it. And when people are raving, you're not supposed to shoot them. It's not part of plur, Peace, love, unity, respect. Pretty sure that's it. I fucked enough chicks on ecstasy to know that.
I've never heard that.
You've never heard? It's a rave term.
Okay.
Plur. Yeah.
Peace, love, unity, respect.
Oh, nailed it. Nice. Still got it. Dibs. I'm on one today, baby. No, but and then the Israelis were like, "Oh no, the Palestinians are shooting our people. What do we do?" And then they're like, well, we got to also shoot a bunch of our people so that we could be the victim. We got to be the victim real bad, real big. Because it's like the Hamas gave the hostages back. They were taken care of. They weren't in bad shape. You could have let them take more hostages. Instead, you murdered children. Murdered infants is what they did.
Jesus.
Just to be like, and then they turned around and they were like, oh, Hamas, they cut the heads off 40 babies. No, that's just made up. And then they roll it back, and then it turns out that a lot of them just died from the Israelis. There was like a shooting in Miami. There was an Israeli, and he saw this car with two guys who looked like they might be Palestinian, and he shot at them. And they also were Jewish. They were Israeli, and they turned around and they were like, "This fucking Palestinian just shot at us." And it's the most blatant example of okay, can we just settle down, stop shooting each other, and nobody's the victim here. Everybody's in timeout. Everybody's been a little bit bad. You've been a little naughty. And that's the Epstein list, is their intelligence, their honeypot. They lure people in with the drugs and exotic sex. They don't always advertise underage sex. That's not how they get people there. That's not how you get Tom Hanks in the door. He doesn't come for the child sex, but he stays for it.
What a good slogan for that shit.
It's like they come, they hang out, it's a wild party, there's other celebrities, there's freaky shit going on, there's hot chicks, and then it's like the chicks start to get questionably younger in age, and then before you know it, you've compromised yourself.
Walking through a party going, she's hot, she looks young, but she's really... where am I?
right. And I think they just bring them in like progressively younger in age. And then there's big signs that are like age of consent here is, like
Some dude on a microphone's just like, all right, send in the fives.
and it's just one of those like old school fucking scoreboards from like a field house and it's just like 11 just and like no bueno, that's not good. That's not good, but you could see how an intelligence organization would set up a trap like that. They would use that to compromise people and get blackmail and use that to their advantage to manipulate all kinds of things in politics, economics, culture, any number of things, right? And if you don't think that sounds exactly like a Diddy party, you're out of your fucking mind. That's the American version. We made it black. We just blackened it up a little bit,
It sounds like it was just like a Epstein party with more air horns.
Yeah. It's an Epstein Island party with like DJ drama. DJ drama. Gangsta grills.
Don't ask for her ID because she can't drive.
It's insane. It's insane. If you don't think that Diddy is a CIA op, I don't think you really have a pulse on anything. I think it's one of the most obvious CIA ops. And maybe I'm a little paranoid because I do see them all over the place. But that one is just glaring.
I thought you meant like you see them all over the place like CIA agents.
I do. I think federal informants and CIA agents are probably 50% of the population. I think 1 out of every 2 people is a federal informant.
Reports back to the CIA.
1 out of every 2.
Not it, bro. Not it.
You know it's not me.
Oh shit.
It's and then his court-appointed or CIA-appointed lawyer quit on him. Did you see that?
I saw like a quick headline about it and then scrolled past it.
Pull up his lawyer's name.
Is it the Diddy's lawyer?
Yeah, Diddy's lawyer. Just look into Diddy's lawyer for a second because he's also represented some famous CIA assets, notably Osama bin Laden. He represented Osama bin Laden.
Is it Anthony Rico?
Who? The lawyer that quit, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know his name? I thought you knew it already. It's Anthony Rico then.
Are you trying to sabotage the podcast? Why are you trying to throw my momentum off? No, I don't know his name. It's Diddy lawyer represent Osama.
It's Anthony Rico.
Okay, Anthony Rico fucking dropped out of this because the CIA pulled the funding, dude. It's up. They're getting fired. He's an asset as well. They're all assets. I'm telling you, everybody is a federal informant. Everybody is a fucking witness. Be careful who you talk to. Be careful what you say. They're trying to get intelligence.
He was Osama bin Laden's fucking lawyer.
Yes, he was Osama bin Laden's lawyer. Osama bin Laden, a well-known CIA asset. They gave him billions of dollars when he was on dialysis. The CIA trained the Mujahideen, which later became the Taliban. That's our entire thing. We fund all that shit. All the guys who know how to make the Mujahideen into the Taliban now can get hired for Amazon to do the same thing in your neighborhood. Whoever wants to hire them, they go wherever there's money now. Wherever they can get their little, wherever they can get influence too. Because it's not just about money to these psychopaths. I'm sure they're trying to get in on this podcast. Believe me, they're well aware.
They're commenting.
Oh, yeah, I know. 1 out of every 2. and you're gonna see some stuff. You're gonna see a drop off in quality Because before there's been a collaborative effort throughout the CIA. They've worked in teams and in pairs. But when they're hired by like Joe's Plumbing Company to like, get rid of the competition in town, and there's pipe bombs going off in plumbing with like bad manifestos and shit, like it's gonna be glaringly obvious like who's behind all the fucking plumbing companies going out of business. Oh yeah, you gotta go with Joe's Plumbing Company because Bob's Plumbing Company, the pipes blow up right after you You don't think that's the CIA looking for a gig? You gotta pay attention. You gotta be aware of these things. You gotta think with your mental.
Well, so typically it's known that when spies go into the private sector, they're always consultants.
Right.
So I think they would be like a local business marketing consultant, and he's just like, yeah, I need to beat out the competition, and then he just goes in and starts assassinating.
Yeah, it's like somehow like this leads to like an assassination in Switzerland and like the start of a global conflict with the price of avocados.
And then he like comes back after the nukes have dropped, and he just goes, now you're the only plumbing business in town.
Hey,
there you go.
Yeah, that's essentially it. They're gonna have to go grassroots. They're gonna be in your community. They have nowhere else to go. They gotta leave DC. They gotta come home from all the fucking countries that they've been in. They can't just be working these assets. There's gonna be so many like rich tech CEOs that are like, why'd my girlfriend break up with me this week? Dude, she was a fucking CIA agent. She got fired. You think she was with you because she loved you? You fucking idiot. They're trying to take you down. They fucking drowned that guy in Puerto Rico, the crypto guy.
They drowned a crypto guy in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, it's like 2 years ago. It was around Christmas time. This guy tweeted out, he was like, there's intelligence agencies after me. My girlfriend was an asset. They have planted a false laptop accusing me of crimes. If I die, it's not a suicide. And then he like suspiciously drowned.
Yikes.
Yeah, you're.
His name was.
You found it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. What was his name?
If I can.
So you didn't find it?
Nikolai. I'll tell you, it's Russian. I keep getting pop-up ads. It's Russian as fuck. Nikolai Mushigian.
Okay. Yeah, that guy, Nikolai Mushigian.
Mushigian, yeah.
Nikolai Mushigian was fucking targeted by these people. That's when they had their focus on big scale. Now imagine they've entered your life. What one intelligence agent could fucking do to your life. Do a little reading. Look up, pull up like a list of like declassified CIA operations that have been controversial.
MK Ultra is a big one.
Okay, so for the people who don't know, MK Ultra is when they drugged people who were just seeking prostitution. Also, like the Stanford prison experiments and Charlie Manson, and they would drug these people. Are you?
I like.
Are you okay?
I always hear him called Charles.
Charles. There's only one of them. Charlie Manson.
Charlie, my boy.
I don't know. Charles Manson. Yeah, any what? Any number of these people, look at how the CIA impacted their lives. They were just hanging out before that. They were just chilling.
Wait, what do they do to these people? I really don't know.
They drugged them. So Charlie Manson specifically, he was just, he was like he reminds me of myself a little bit. when he was young, he had some run-ins with the law. He just like lived in California. He was like a bad kid, and he was in and out of jail. And then something happened, and he was under the supervision of Dr. Jolly West, who was a CIA guy. He was like an agent, and he was in charge of the Haight-Ashbury Clinic. There's Joe Rogan episodes you can listen to if you want to actually know about it. But they just like brainwashed him in prison and like taught him how to like brainwash people and use LSD to manipulate people's minds and like while they're tripping, like plant thoughts into their mind. He started a cult, and then they murdered like a prominent Hollywood director's family. You know?
Who later turned out to be a pedophile.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, crazy how these conspiracy theorists are kind of right about everything. But then they just made it about a race war, which it never was about in the first place. They just make it about they twist the narrative. If you've watched The Wire, I recommend. I try not to be the white guy who like says you need to see The Wire, but you need to see The Wire because each season has like a different focus on like a cast of characters, but it really like exposes different levels of corruption. So it's like there's layers to what the CIA does, because the CIA does one thing. They keep track of what they do in another capacity, you know, so there's stuff that's on and off the books. And then what they report on is a totally other. And then what they disseminate is completely, again, totally different and smaller. So and then your perception of what they will do, they will manipulate. They will do everything they can. They will ingrain it in you. It will be in your history books. Look up who makes most of the history books in the United States.
Like the publisher?
Yeah.
What is this important to?
It's Ghislaine Maxwell's father.
Oh,
a well-known Mossad agent. Yes. Everything that you were taught growing up was approved by Israeli intelligence. That's the reason why a lot of stuff was emphasized and a lot of stuff was ignored. That's the reason why people may hold particular beliefs, is because it's so well ingrained into what we know to be fact. You know, that's supposedly the truth. And it's because Robert Maxwell said so.
Are you thinking of Penguin Random House, by the way? Because I just did a quick
No, that's big. No, you don't need to look any further. That's like novels and stuff. That's like large publishing company. I'm talking about for like textbooks and stuff like that. It all goes back to Israeli intelligence. I'm using that very specifically because anti-Semitism is on the rise, and unjustly so. You know, I think there's a big difference between understanding Zionism and understanding Judaism and understanding just Jews, because a lot of them have nothing to do with Zionism or Judaism, really. You know, they're just people, and you just love and respect them because that's what you do to all people. But the globalists, you know, the ones in Tel Aviv, the ones who, yeah, it all kind of goes back to them, you know. And it came out recently, those bombings. There were 3 bombings. I called it on the last episode. I said they were false flags. They were. There was an Israeli man arrested for it. They do it. They do the false flags. And speaking of false flags, false Israeli flags, why don't you go ahead and pull up William Banks? Joe, go ahead and pull up William Banks' Twitter.
Just Norm spelled Norm. Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's like verified. It should pop up very quickly. And scroll way back on his page. Just go like back a couple weeks. William Banks is a man, I think, who may have like a learning disability of some kind, who was arrested for pulling down these false flags, these Zionist flags, and he pulled down like 5 of them from people's houses. like in like an act of protest, and he was sentenced to 8 months in the jail. Somehow he got a phone in, as you can see, and he is bullied by other inmates because he's retarded, and they like make him do push-ups. But then he doesn't even realize that they're being mean to him. He like does the push-ups, and then he like stutters his way through like reading the Bible, and he's like, notice how like it's so like I don't even know. Let me play one of the videos. Are you on his media?
Yeah, this is his. I mean, it's all that.
Okay, yeah, play this. And
Just wanted to make a video giving everybody an update of the things that have been going on in my life. I know a lot of people were concerned about me going to jail, so
There's a video. He has a phone in there.
yeah. I mean, he's not the sharpest tool in the box. He's a self-proclaimed journalist, which those are never good people. But he's like actually seems like a kind of chill guy. He's just kind of not all the way there. But he pulls down these flags in an act of protest that I agree with. And he was sentenced to 8 months in jail. They put a retard in there with criminals for 8 months. And he's been like still tweeting, and he's gotten a lot of support online. He's gone viral a couple times because he's just in there, and they're like, who the fuck is this guy? Why do I keep seeing him all the time? And he's like always talking about Israel and always talking about this stuff. And he's talking about it to his... This guy is everything people wanted Luigi Mangione to be.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's like, oh, they cared for like 6 weeks. They were like, oh, Luigi, he's going to be a fucking hero in there. Like, nobody gives a shit about Luigi. They tried to make him trend on Twitter and went away. They don't even care. He tried to do like a 50 Cent where he wore the bulletproof vest to court. No. Get out of here. Whack shit. Give us William Banks. Put that William Banks on my timeline because he's talking about some real shit. And then yesterday, with 4 months left in his sentence, he broke out of jail. He broke out of jail. Go real recent on his media. It's got to be like some of the most recent, because now he's out. Now he's like posting new shit. Yeah, this video right here. We're going to play the full thing. And you can mute your mic after. Turn it so I can see. William is making his way under the fence with a group of men, with a number of men. And he's holding the fence for them. He has no self-instinct to run for himself. He's truly a comrade. He's really like, he cares for these other men. He wants them to see freedom and salvation as well, who are probably on trial for much more serious things and have like other more like real shit going on in their lives. And I get it. You can turn it off now. I get it, because when you're in jail, all you think about is breaking out. It doesn't matter how much time you have or how much time you have left. You think about breaking out all the time. It's almost like an intrusive thought, but it's an extrusive thought because it's getting out. I'm unplugging your mind. Shut up. I hate you. Yes, it's like an extrusive thought because you're like, I need to get out of here. It's like an American feeling to not take accountability, to get away with it, you know? And like the CIA, they've been getting away with it for so long, and now they can't. They're going to have to face accountability. And so for the people that have been facing accountability, the people who, whether justly or unjustly, are being held accountable for something, they're in jail. And they just got out. They just got away with it. They just got out. Now he's posting pictures with guns. He's fully on the run. This was a bad idea. I mean, he had like a misdemeanor crime with 8-month sentence.
He was halfway in, is what one tweet said. He got locked up in November. He's halfway in.
Yeah. He's literally got 4 months left in his sentence. He's got no time. It's so easy. 4 months in county. Like, come on. Come on. Like, you're set. You're set. And this is, I mean, it's a dumb move. It's a really dumb move. But at the same time, if you keep up with him, he got out and immediately launched his own cryptocurrency. He launched his own crypto. He rug pulled it from a bunch of crypto guys and donated $50,000 to Palestine. He's rebuilding Gaza with tech bro money.
Holy shit, he really did, dude. I didn't know any of this. I scrolled one tweet up and said,
yeah, that's real. Like, that's what he did. That's a real thing that happened. I've been keeping up with this.
That's insane.
And it worries me.
Which part?
The fact that I've been keeping up with this and that he seems so retarded and based. You know, have you seen, like the IQ chart where it's like the bell curve and it's like, for example, there's one with like marketing where it's like the dumb guy on the low end is like buy low, sell high. Mm-hmm. And then most people in the middle, they're like, oh, you need to capitalize on this and that and your marketing strategy needs to be blah, blah. And then the high IQ is also buy low, sell high. Like there's intelligence in the simplicity.
Yeah.
I think this guy might be a psyop. I think this guy might be an informant. I think this might be what's it called again?
Mossad?
No. What's it called when there's like there's a word for it. Controlled opposition.
Yeah.
This might be controlled opposition. This may encourage people to get locked up for a petty crime, do something stupid so that they get you in the system. Because once you're in the system, they don't let you out of it. Mm-hmm. That's something that they should teach people. And they do, and a lot of us didn't listen. And a lot of you won't listen to me, so do what you will. But don't be too inspired, because this guy, as retarded and based as he may seem, just may be an agent provocateur. He may be somebody who incites you to do something that you otherwise wouldn't. The world is going to change with the CIA being gone, with America's sprawl of, its tendrils gripping deep into every corner of the globe, retracting and retreating, coming back in and distributing hopefully $5,000 to its American citizens. Elon, that would be really nice. I appreciate you doing that. I take back what I said about you being a nerd and a Nazi. If you do that, you can sig hail all you want. $5,000. That's the cost. That's the cost. There's going to be more conflicts, and there's going to be more people that are more willing to just say fuck it. They're just going to go. Are you familiar with Rhodesia?
As the country?
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I couldn't point it out on a map.
I know you couldn't, because it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
Rhodesia was go ahead and pull up the Wikipedia page and do some minor corrections on me, because I want to see how much of this I've fucking retained. Rhodesian Bush War specifically.
Oh, okay.
Because it'll
we're
get
talking geography still.
No, I mean yes and no. I mean the founding of a country, geography, is rooted in violence.
Most of the time.
It's trade lines and blood. That's what draws a country That's what it is. And Rhodesia was a settlement, I believe, by the British in the 1920s. So there's white people in Africa. That's what they were. And they got this country together, and they were working it out. It actually seemed to be going pretty well for them. They were a minority-led government, though. It was the white people were ruling shit. And they had most of the land. Just pointing out facts. Some of these things, not very good. Some of these things, that's just how they played out, you know? And in the founding, it was a settlement, right? And then they declared their independence. They said, fuck Britain, we are our own country of Rhodesia, and this is what we're going to do. And we're going to stay with this white minority-led government. And then there were two opposing parties, essentially. There was like the ZANU and the Zappa, or
Yeah,
Zupa.
no, that's exactly right.
Zupa?
No, ZAPU. So Zapu
Zapu?
and Zanu.
Zapu and ZANU. One of which is essentially an arm of the Chinese, and the other of which is an arm of the Russians. So they're both communists. They're both extremist groups influenced by communists, but staffed by black guys. Staffed by Africans is essentially what they were. And the Rhodesians were, in the war, were the white Rhodesian people, and then some, like, American soldiers who had fought in Vietnam who just hadn't got enough of those commie bastards and just fucking loaded up, and the guy at customs would fucking look at you and fucking be like, this seems a little heavy, and he'd fucking give you a nod and a salute, and you'd go over there and fucking and the reason why, you know, it's so and there's more, there's Israeli influence, unfortunately, you know, because it's like now you really got to decide whose side you want to be on, the Israelis or the communists. I thought communism was Jewish. It was a Jewish invention.
Oh, of course.
Go ahead and look up, was communism a Jewish invention?
By was it a specific Jewish guy?
I don't know. I mean, who invented communism? If you ask me, it was the Jews. I don't, and I'm asking you to back it up.
It just says
The Bolsheviks, right?
yeah, Jewish Bolshevism.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. So you're deciding between Jews and communists whose side you want to be on? And I mean, ultimately what it really was for a lot of people was one last hoorah. Right? It was, the USA isn't paying me to go kill these slant-eyed fucks anymore.
Jesus.
Hey, you don't like the other words I use, and you tell me I shouldn't say them on this version of the podcast. But they're not paying for that anymore. But you know what? You sure can just take your rifle over to Rhodesia, my bad. Over to Rhodesia. And there's some Africans there, and they've been sold some propaganda by one group or another. Some of them were given weapons, others were more, and that's the other thing. Is like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there were some people that were just like, oh yeah, we're going to go over there and fucking, you know, there's fucking Africans and we're going to fucking kill. You know, I'm sure there was racism. I'm sure that there was levels to it because that's just life and that's who fights wars. But don't get me wrong, this was not just like white people being like, we're going to beat up on Africa and take their land. This was like a group of settlers who had come down, and generations later, so people who had grown up there with these people, who had made their country good. I mean, it was a good place, Rhodesia. Do you know what it is now? It's Zimbabwe now. Look up how much a hotel in Zimbabwe costs, okay? Because it's not a lot. There's not a big tourism in Zimbabwe. But it was once a place, and that's because people with experience running government and experience governing were in charge.
And then
Yeah, I'm not saying that all white people need to be in charge of Africa. That's not what I'm saying. Please never mistake me for saying that. All I'm saying is they were doing a pretty good job there. Let them stay there. Let them keep doing their thing. But the Soviets and the Chinese, they wanted to spread communism, and they were fighting with each other, and they would just ride around in the in like rural areas and countrysides, and they would see like a white family and just be like, "Oh, let's go kill them with a machine gun," you know? Like they're just like, "Oh, let's trap them in a farmhouse and like hack them to death with machetes." You know, like that's not good. And they would do shit like that and blow shit up in like their military bases in Rhodesia. They would do all kinds of these like little terrorist attacks is what they were. And so the Rhodesian military, which was pull up pictures, they're hilarious. It's like they're in one of the most dangerous places on earth with like venomous everything, and it's just like the Boy Scouts. They're all wearing like shorts with like Uzis and M16s and stuff. It's it's white guys wearing like shorts. Yeah. They are kind of badass. They are kind of badass because they went over there because they could get away with it. It's a lawless land. You can kind of do whatever you want. It's the wild, wild west. You know, it's the final frontier. It was the last. For a lot of guys, it was going to be like the final send off. Like Vietnam wasn't enough. What happened in 48 in Palestine wasn't enough. What happened in Korea wasn't enough. All those conflicts they kind of culminated in the Rhodesian Bush Wars in a sense, because in many ways it was a proxy war that was fought by intelligence organizations. It was the CCP has what is their intelligence called?
I don't actually know. I'm surprised that term's not thrown around.
I mean, Chinese intelligence has got to just be like, I mean, it's a de facto part of like the CCP.
The Ministry of State Security, so MSS.
Okay. So, yeah, MSS and KGB and CIA, this is all just a playground for them. This is a game of Risk, you know? This is fucking Dungeons and Dragons for them. You get a bunch of half-cocked fucking heroin-addicted Vietnam vets, some racist Israelis with the Uzis, and a bunch of uneducated Africans who you can just manipulate in whatever way you want. Like the white guys got a bunch of them convinced that white people should be running the country, and then the Chinese convinced a bunch of them that like, oh, you need to go like blow up a nursing home, and then the Russians would be like, you need to neutralize their military bases. So then what does Rhodesian fucking military forces do? Well, they pull up a list of their military operations. Yeah, scroll down. Keep going. Biological and chemical weapons. I mean, here we go. I mean, there are a ton. As war continued to identify... Okay. Skip that. There's been biological and chemical weapons used. Keep scrolling down. Minefields... I mean, raids. What is this?
I don't know.
This is a raid at a camp containing 5,000 guerrillas. That's soldiers, not Africans. Like, well, I mean, they were African, but not in. You know what I meant. Yeah, and they. What did they? Oh, is this the one? It's called like Operation Enoch. Keep scrolling down till you see Control F. Operation Aztec. Operation Enoch. Control F, Operation Enoch.
Eland?
Yeah, that's the one. Eland. Yeah, so they launched like a counteroffensive and like killed like 4,000 people at a illegal refugee camp where they're just training people to be insurgents. It's essentially like the Taliban. Like, do you know who trained? You know the Russians, right?
Do I know of the Russians? Is
Yeah.
that what you're asking? Yeah, I know.
You're familiar with the Russians?
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, do you know like all the stuff they've done? They've been training people all around the world the same way we do. The same way we want disruptors, the same way we want our coffee beans cheaper and we need bananas and we're willing to trade guns for cocaine so that we can pump it into black communities and arrest them for longer. The same way we want to do that, they want to do that too. They have their own branch of doing that. And so they are playing around with these people in this landscape. And you've got refugee centers. You've got people are lying to each other about what it really is. They claim, oh, this was an act of terrorism. Well, what were you doing there? Were there fucking militants in the hospital? Okay, maybe there were, maybe there weren't. Who knows the truth? Who's got the answers? You know? Really, it's just the people that were there, and they only have their perspective of it. They may be given an order to do something based on information that's not true. They may follow through on something predicated on disinformation, misinformation. They may not tell the truth about what they did when they were there, who they left alive, what happened. Listen, boss, her panties were all tore up when we got to the village. I'm sure that happened a lot. It did in Vietnam. Why would Rhodesia be any different? It's a horrible thing when war breaks out. War is hell on earth. We need to do everything we can to avoid war. But unfortunately, we just let these maniacs loose. We just uncaged and unkennelled all the dogs. We let them off the chain. Now, all that experience is going to be starting up gang wars. Seriously.
They're
I mean,
gonna do it just to, like, keep themselves occupied.
They've probably had like 5% of the CIA working on like gang wars and stuff for a long time. Just like, hey, what if we got the guys from F Street not to like the guys from 8th Street? You know, what if we just like started that up? What if the 50s hate the 30s?
Yeah, these are like side projects.
Yeah, like, you know, this is just little stuff. They'll all kill each other and then the rest of them get all the drug customers. Then they buy the bricks from us because we're flying them in exchange for guns where they're fighting a war so that we can get oil cheaper. And so that we could get bananas. You like bananas, right?
I had one this morning.
Perfect. Thank the CIA. Better thank the spooks. It's a nightmare scenario. They're going to be wandering among us. Think about the conflict. Think about how road rage incidents are going to be fucking exacerbated by the intelligence agents on the street. They're professional instigators. You know, all these fucking assets. People who were your drug dealer. People who were your boss. People who were your girlfriend. People who were your neighbor. They're just going to up and disappear. They're going to move back to whatever shithole the agency found them at, and they're going to go and take care of their grandma, or their mom, probably.
Probably their mom.
They're going to go take care of their ailing mom, and then they're going to sneak out at night, and they're going to find ways to fuck with you. You specifically. They're going to find ways to fuck with you. They're going to find ways to fuck with me. They already have. They already are. I attribute everything bad in my life not to my own poor decisions or negligence, but to
the CIA.
Well, I mean, and other foreign intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've got the attention of a few. You know, I had a nickname for a while as the Russian.
Why?
I'm not even Russian. I was wearing the fur coat a lot.
Oh.
I really only did it for a winter. That's the thing, though, is unless I tell you that, and I'm sure that's not an alias that they would trace back to anything horrible. And maybe if they did, there's an asset that already knows, and that's intel that he's going to work on in 12 years if they get their jobs back. Or maybe he's just going to fucking use that info to try to start a lawn care business somehow. He's going to try to like blackmail me for startup funds for, a studio. He's like, yeah, there's a lot of rappers in these neighborhoods thanks to what we've been doing. And, oh yeah, you don't think rap music is a CIA invention? You're welcome. Look into that. At least the commercialization of it. I understand the roots and origins and the dozens and all that and the history behind it. And I have a great deal of respect for hip hop. But the commercialization of it and the reason why the messaging is so strong and it is what it is in mainstream hip hop is because of the intelligence agencies. 100%.
I believe it. You could tell me that the CIA is responsible for me shitting my pants last night, and I'd go, yeah.
You shit your pants last night?
No, not literally.
Well,
if
when's the last time you shit your pants?
That's late last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe like around October 7th? Yeah, I think you can attribute a great number of things in your life to intelligence. Those agencies, these spies, they're real. They're real, and some of them do look like Idris Elba. Some of them look like Sean O'Connery. Some of them look like, Joe's roommate. Some of them look like Kansas City comedians. There might be feds. There might be assets among us. People who cooperate, people who talk to the higher ups. At the end of the day, you're just a face on a bulletin board. They're putting together some big scheme. They're hatching something. And it just got stopped. And all these people only have little fragments of that. And they have to take that and do what they can. Organize bank heists and get people expelled from school and turn kids into furries. Yeah, they're going to still keep doing that. They've been very successful at that. Why would they stop? People are doubling down. You have to assume that half the shit you read online has been posted by an intelligence agent. There's accounts on X. Sorry, I keep calling it Twitter. There's accounts on X that I will scroll through. There's this guy, Evan Loves Worf, WORF. If you type in Evan Loves, I bet it comes up. He's massively popular because he's a retard. There's no way this is a real person. Like, no real person thinks these thoughts. Okay, yeah, close out of him because he looks special needs and I don't want to talk bad about him. But scroll down, protect trans kids. I mean, if you go to the comments on that, they're hilarious. It's ridiculous because what trans kids? You can decide that later, right? But he's like anti-RFK. He thinks everything's Hitler. Like he's always shitting on Elon Musk. He backs everything up with these fucking. He is a psyop. There's no real people that hold all these opinions. There's only figments of your imagination. There's only people that wish to move the needle further in that direction so that you settle for something less, so that you give up some other rights and freedoms that you feel less important to protect others. There should be no compromise with these people. There should be no debate with these people. What we need is to get away with it. We've done some wrong. Let them get away with it. The Bidens, you got to let them get away with it. Trump, if he's doing something you don't like, you got to let him get away with it. Because you got away with so much. And the CIA got away with so much for so long. But now it's over. It's over, and the world may slip into chaos. The world may slip into proxy wars, neighbors fighting with neighbors, nobody knows who to trust. And I just have one request. One request for the world. Sorry. I have one request for the war to end all wars. Because this is not nuclear bombs. This is not weapons of mass destruction. This is people killing other people. This is controlled by outside forces that no longer have a master to answer to. Not that they ever did or had one that we could trust or hold accountable. But now there's absolutely no one. It's going to be a bloodbath. And I don't know where, what's it called? Not the frontier.
Oh, where the location of the battle?
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to get at? The medium? The dimension?
No, there's a word for it.
I don't know where.
Theater.
Oh.
I don't know what theater this battle will be held in. But I'd imagine that it may be worldwide. I'd imagine that the ramifications of a pullback of the largest intelligence organization, or one of the largest intelligence organizations, will be substantial. Propped up governments will collapse. Civilizations will fall into disarray. Borders will crumble. Law and order will burn. And as people are bleeding in the streets, as neighborhoods are on fire, I have one request. No cameras, please. Whatever happens, no cameras. We can't put this in the history books. It just, whatever happens, whoever wins, they have to get away with it. By whatever means. Otherwise, we're not going to make it. You're welcome. Kept your job pretty easy on this one.
Is that it?
That's it.